80% of all the rescues done in the state of Louisiana were done in St. John the Baptist Parish yesterday. Very resilient and hardy people, many of whom have decided not to leave. I expect that that's going to change over the coming days because they're going to find out that their homes are not going to be repowered anytime very soon, and they've got damage. And so we have shelter operations, more than 30 shelters now across the state of Louisiana. We have the transportation. Gail McGovern focused on along with us. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, and no one is under the illusion that this is going to be a short process. We have the entire National Guard mobilized. Much of that presence is right here in Louisiana. In St. John the Baptist Parish. We have additional law enforcement that will be on the ground to help you, Sheriff. State troopers, both from Louisiana, but probably from out of state. We have wildlife and fisheries officers. We will be moving National Guardsmen in as well, just for basic security functions. And so we're going to be with you all for the long haul. What I'm trying to make sure people understand is many of the life-supporting infrastructure elements are not present. They're not operating right now. So if you have already evacuated, do not return here or elsewhere in southeast Louisiana until the Office of Emergency Preparedness tells you it is ready to receive you. The schools are not open, the businesses are not open, the hospitals are slammed, there's not water in your home, and there's not going to be electricity. So let's get you where you can be safe and somewhat comfortable, and if you need a hospital, we can get you to a hospital. Please don't come home before they tell you that it's time. And the last thing I'm going to say before I ask the FEMA administrator to come up is most deaths, right now we have 2 confirmed deaths across southeast Louisiana because of the storm. I expect that number is going to rise. But historically, we know that most people are injured and killed because of the response, not the storm itself. Carbon monoxide poisoning for generators, driving through water that turns out to be deeper or having more current than you realize, using power equipment that you're unaccustomed to, falling off of roofs when you're cleaning up, and heat exhaustion. It's going to be, their heat indexes will be 100 degrees for the next 2 weeks.
No deaths.
Sir?
No deaths in St. John.
Yeah. At this point in time, even though I told you 80% of the rescues that were done in the state were in St. John the Baptist Parish, we don't have a single confirmed death. And I want to thank all the law enforcement people, all the first responders here have done a tremendous job. But that also means the people of St. John the Baptist Parish have done something right too. But now is really the most dangerous time over the next week, couple of weeks. And so we're asking people to be patient. We're asking people to be careful. And please be good neighbors. Check on that elderly couple who live across the street from you. Check on your elderly parents or your grandparents or special needs families. And we have 911 operating here. So call 911. So at this point, I'm going to ask the FEMA administrator to come up. She's going to tell you that the president signed a major disaster declaration that turned on individual assistance for all of southeast Louisiana, including St. John the Baptist Parish. But we also have 100% for the next 30 days on all the costs associated with debris removal and emergency protective measures like sheltering and other things that we need to bring to bear in order to stand this parish back up. And we really appreciate your presence and the good news that you're bringing to us. So if you would come on up, Deanne.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the President, our thoughts go out to everybody that has been impacted by this devastating storm that went through Louisiana. As you heard, we understand many people are away from their homes and want to get back in their homes, but I strongly encourage everybody, please listen to your local officials. Please listen to when they tell you it's safe to come back home. We also understand that many of you did stay behind and you're now seeing the damages across your neighborhoods and your own personal homes. As the governor mentioned, the president did sign a major disaster declaration, which means that if you do have damages or you are displaced from your home, you may be eligible for assistance from FEMA. So if you haven't already, you can register. You can go to disasterassistance.gov. You can go to our FEMA app, or you can call 1-800-621-FEMA. I also understand that many of you don't have communications right now. We are also going to be bringing in teams that will be walking around your neighborhoods. They will be able to register you as well. And so if you haven't been registered or if you have questions about your registration, you can find somebody that's wearing a FEMA shirt and they'll be able to help answer your questions or help you get registered if you haven't already. We have been embedded here with the state since before the storm made landfall. We've had such a great partnership with our state and local officials in Louisiana, and the federal family that comes to be part of this response as part of that disaster declaration. FEMA is just one small piece of that. We have brought in the Coast Guard, we have brought in the Army Corps of Engineers, the Department of Defense, Fish and Wildlife, many other federal agencies that are here on the ground that are supporting you. We staged a number of resources ahead of the storm, and now we are moving those in to meet the needs and the requests from the local officials to help them address their immediate concerns. I'd like to just also say it's been a rough 48 hours, and the first responders have been amazing. They work so hard to make sure that they're keeping their communities safe, and many of them at the same time struggling with their own losses to their own homes. And so just wanted to give a big shout out to the first responders across Louisiana for all of the hard work that they've done and all the work that they're going to continue to do over the next days and weeks. And finally, just to repeat what the governor said, checking on your neighbors, checking on your loved ones, so important right now. People are going to need help. And what I have found across this country is just how amazing it is that the communities come together and help each other out. It really goes a long way. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here this morning. I also want to just offer all of my prayers to our entire community. What we are experiencing right now is one of the greatest disasters that our to ask our residents also, as everyone has said, if you can stay where you are right now, please do so. Currently, the parish is without power and we're without water. So where you currently are now, if you're in a safe place with water and power, that's probably the best place for you to be. I'd also like to also remind our residents as well, we know that communication is a challenge right now. For about 30 hours, no one was able to communicate with anyone. I want to thank FEMA and everyone who's here because they recognize the communication challenges that we're having because our residents may not be able to get on FEMA.gov. You may not be able to call anyone if you're in your home right now without electricity. And they're going to be having boots on the ground to intake and get with our residents to get them the assistance that they need. American Red Cross is here. I can't thank you enough. The resources are ramping up now that communication is getting a little bit better. But yesterday there was no communication, and that has really made it difficult for us to reach all of our residents. Can't thank everyone enough for being here. If you have family that's somewhere else and you can communicate with them about what's going on the ground, please do so. We are doing all of our assessments right now for water, our utility assessments, damage assessments, and once we have a good assessment on what our infrastructure is really looking like, we'll be able to give a better assessment on when we even think water can be restored. We have activated all of our pre-position contracts just to remove debris out of roadways because that's posing a challenge for us to even do a good damage assessment that we can't get to all of the areas in the parish that do have damage. But all of that's been mobilized and activated, and we're working very quickly. This is going to be a marathon and not a sprint, but I've been in this community for Hurricane Isaac, and I know that we are a resilient group of people. This is going to be very difficult. Worst disaster that we've all seen in St. John Parish. And it's going to take a long time. We're here to support the residents, and I just want to thank everyone and thank the media for being here now because for a while we could not reach our residents. So I do appreciate you all coming, and thank you. Jacqueline Hotard, St. John the Baptist Parish President. Thank you.
Still morning. Good morning. Thank everyone for coming out today, Governor. Thank you for your working relationship. As always, you were here for us in the past, and you have not let us down again. We've been through Hurricane Isaac. We've seen this movie before, but here we are. Our residents are very resilient. They do a good job when it's time to recovery. Two things I want to mention. To the criminal element out there, curfew, dawn, dusk till dawn. When it gets dark, do not be on the streets of St. John Parish. There's nothing out here for you to do. For the criminal element, if you decide to come to St. John Parish, my jail is empty. And you're going to be in there by yourself. We're not having it. Let me say this to you. 911 connections are very scarce and very hard to come by. Most of the residents can't call us, which means they're probably going to take matters into their own hands. You may be the one needing 911. That's what I'm trying to say in the most polite terms I can say. And for the people who are already suffering out here, do not become another victim to contractor fraud. If somebody comes to your house saying they're going to fix you this and fix that, do not give any money up front. And whoever does come to your house and wants you to do law enforcement a favor, not just St. John, but the whole state, take a picture of them and take a picture of their vehicle and their license plate number. Do not let yourself become a victim of not only Ida, but the greedy people out here that's going to try to take advantage of you. If you need 911, call 911. My St. John residents, we're going to get St. John Parish back for you to come home. Just sit tight where you are a little while longer. Be careful. Be safe. We're going to tell you, we want to come in and get your stuff and leave. Pay attention to the news reports and the traffic presses, okay? But we're going to get you back home. Just sit still for us, and just like you did the last time, we're going to bounce back. Thank you.
Tell them who you are.
Sheriff Mike Trigg, St. John Parish Sheriff. Thank you, God, for reminding me. I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take one or two questions, and then we're going to move out to Terrebonne Parish.
Governor, what's the situation with food and water availability for people here who may need those kind of supplies?
Yeah, well, we actually are coordinating now with the parish for points of distribution, and I think you're going to see that stood up very quickly in terms of what the National Guard will do here with MREs and water and so forth, trying to add ice to that list, bags of ice, as soon as we're able to do that. Those are not operating today, but we're also working with the Red Cross, and that coordination started already, where we're going to have hot meals fed here, and we're going to be coordinating with the parish to make sure that those are in the communities where the people need them the most. And obviously we know that we don't yet have functioning supermarkets and fast food restaurants and that sort of stuff. We're working as fast as we can to get this stood up. I want to remind people, we're here on Tuesday morning. The hurricane came through Sunday. It didn't leave this area until after lunch, well after lunch on Sunday. But the presence you're going to see here is going to grow and grow from here on forward until obviously we're not needed anymore. Yes, sir. Yeah. I know I'm not satisfied with 30 days. The Entergy people aren't satisfied with 30 days. Nobody who's out there needing power is satisfied with that. But I am mindful that we just had the strongest hurricane, at least tied for the strongest, that the state has ever experienced. And infrastructure has been damaged. The damage assessment continues. That started yesterday. It actually continues. And then once they know exactly how heavily damaged the infrastructure is, then they're going to be able to respond, put together a plan. But what I can tell you is we have well over 20,000 linemen, vegetation crews, and others in the state right now. I did a 2-hour phone call with Entergy last evening to make sure that they knew that this is a very high order of priority. And look, we all want air conditioning because that's how we run our lights and our air conditioners. I'm worried about it because that's how we run our hospitals too, and our hospitals are full, and we have so many other things that are just critically important. And we know that even if you have a generator, typically after so many days they start to fail, right? And so we're doing everything we can to work with them to get them to restore electricity as soon as possible, but to prioritize the things that really are the priorities for repowering. And we're bringing in redundant generator capacity and technicians in the meantime. But nobody is satisfied. And quite frankly, you know, I will be surprised, not pleasantly surprised, but unpleasantly surprised if it actually is 30 days before we start to see power being restored.
But one more question.
Yeah, but there are parts of the state, as you move from between here and the coast, you have much more damage than you saw even in New Orleans. And so every area is not going to come back at the same time. And we do ask people to be patient. That's one of the reasons we need people to stay out. If you've already evacuated, or if you've decided whether to evacuate, take all of this into consideration, because quite frankly, it's going to be a while before you have all of the conveniences, and not just conveniences, the things you need to actually live. Okay, WGNO, and this will be it.
Governor, the FEMA administrator mentioned of having folks in the neighborhoods, if you will, being able to, sign folks up for benefits. Is that something happening here, or is it happening throughout the entire region in other parts of the state?
Yeah.
And I ask that because of the cell phone stuff and the power lines are out everywhere.
Yeah, it's a great question. We are going to start bringing those teams in. They're coming in today. They'll be starting to go out into neighborhoods around Louisiana. We'll work. Neighborhoods are in the most need for those, and they have iPads. They can register people offline, go back and get cell connection. Then it uploads that information, and their information. They'll get a case number, and they'll get.
Your name, please.
My name is Deanne Criswell, and I'm the FEMA administrator.
Okay, thank you all very much. God bless.